Jules, BTC guy, how do you practice ear training? One thing that I do every day now, I don't do a lot of ear training exercises so much anymore. I spend about an hour a day actively developing my ear, and the first half hour, what I do is I listen to generally some piece of classical music or jazz, and I transcribe it by ear. So without any help of any instruments, I just sit down and I transcribe it into sheet music. And then after the 30 minutes, I'll check my work and then listen, read to it if I made any mistakes. And then the second half of that hour, I look at a piece of sheet music and I try to realize the sound of the sheet music in my head. So I try to hear in my head what I'm seeing on the paper. And I work each part out individually and try to hear the whole thing. Then I'll listen to the actual piece of music and check it to see if what I'm hearing in my head corresponds with what's on the actual sound of it. So I kind of reverse it. I do it two ways, coming in and then kind of going out. So, and then pretty much everything, creating music is ear training to me, because when I'm trying to get the sound of my ideas out of my head, I'm always using my ear to do it. Stuff like that, and anything. So, and obviously transcribing music for you fine people. Oh, Jake Lee Master. Jake he's got a podcast that he interviewed me on, and he's a golfer too. So he said, how did I shoot in the tournament? I played my first golf tournament last weekend. Shot horribly. I'm not going to mention the score. Worst round in my year, but it's the first tournament. I'm allowed to do that. Favorite gear, Sergio, favorite gear that I have, not including guitars. My Line 6 Helix, definitely. Carl, my question is, how are you doing? I mean, this is by Titus. Not right now, but in life. Are you happy? Are you happy with YouTube channels, which I find amazing, by the way? Thank you. All I want to do is maybe get more into creating music instead of just teaching music online. So that's something I'm really trying to start pushing this year. And then I'll be happy. I'm happy that I can do this for a living, but I would like to start creating more music. So I'm getting up at 5 a.m. today and trying to spend like the first 5 hours of my day just creating. And then I think I'll be fully happy. What is my Evans? What is my opinion on Muse and Matthew Bellamy? I like their older stuff a lot. I wish they do more guitar-based stuff now. It's a little bit too electronic sounding for me these days, but. Their older stuff, Absolution, all that stuff, great. Jameson always helps me out here on the channel too. When's Shred Wars with Jared Dines coming? Do you ever get sick of hearing screeching guitars? I will do that Shred Wars in a second. So let's, you guys can go bombard him and ask. And do you get sick of hearing screeching guitars? I do. That's why I go to classical music. God Bless asks, do you think there's anything special about left-handed musicians? Left-handed people creep me out. No, I don't think there's anything special about them. They don't creep me out. Bracket, I know you've already asked, but I answered, but please touch on being on The Office. I was on The Office because me and my brother, I think we were working out at the gym, and a talent scout came in there, and they needed these twin characters on The Office for an episode. They asked us to do it. I'm not an actor, so we said no. I never even watched The Office really, so I didn't have any really clue. It was the number one, TV show in the country at that time, but I didn't know anything about it. They came back and asked us again. They asked us 3 times, and they upped the money every time. So we're not stupid, so we went and did it, and it was a fun week. We had a good experience with it. Everybody on that cast was just the nicest people. So it was a fun experience, and that's about it, Logan, Metallica for me, personally. Thrasher Paul asked if I love him as much as he loves me. Yes, I'm very appreciative. Paragua, how old are you? I'm 43. Gui Light Red Floyd, what are your thoughts on Buckethead? Got some very cool stuff. I used to listen to some of his stuff, but I haven't listened to a lot of his music. Emma Gobbs, 20. Hey, Carl, I wanted to know what you think is the best method for training your ear. Functional ear training is where basically you learn to recognize all 12 notes where they are at within a key center. I think that's how the ear actually naturally works instead of the interval method. And I've had a lot more success with it, and I have a lot more success teaching people that way. So that's what I teach in my ear training course at my website is functional, how to recognize that, and then how to, how to hear music from that standpoint. And it's very, very intuitive eventually, and it works very well. What job would I want to do? W's pace. What if I didn't play guitar on YouTube? What would I want to? I want to be a professional golfer. That'd be fun. Carlos, hey, I got a better question. Does your family share the same music passion as you? Your siblings, parents, wife? My brother is big into music. He writes his own music. You know, besides working with me on the site, he was a great drummer. We played in bands together. He does his own ambient music. Besides that, no. My parents were not musicians. My other siblings aren't. My fiance, no. And they're not what I would even consider huge music fans. So it was really something that we just kind of went off and did on our own. Colts fan, what's better on Fenders, blocked vibrato or unblocked if you never use it? I would say blocked. How do you use vibrato when bending a string? Use your arm, don't use your fingers to do it. So do the bend, and then the vibration comes from your forearm. Ducks for Pucks, would you ever consider doing vlogs or even a house tour? And I freaking love you. Thank you, man. I'll do vlogs if people actually would watch it, but I don't think people will watch it. I'm not one of those social media guys that I think people are very interested in. So they get just like, we're probably like 3 people left watching this at this point. So I don't think people would be that interested in it, but I would do it if it was people wanted to see it. Head of speed, are you going to grow out your hair even more and look even better than you already do? I think it's as long as I'm going to get, because it is a bit annoying. The Riff Man, thought on the Dean guitars and Gibson case. I could see their point that, but it's kind of, I don't know how that all works, so people can rip off your designs. I mean, obviously they've been ripped off, but they've done the same thing with other manufacturers. They have guitars that look like Strat. I've seen, Gibson guitars that look like Strats and stuff. So I think every company is guilty of it, and so just how that was all policed is, and the fact that these things have been around for how many decades. So I mean, so these rip-offs have been around forever. So now, why they're doing it now, I have no idea. And the same guy, do you have relative pitch like they do? Yeah, I do use relative pitch for 99%. What's kind of like a quasi-perfect pitch. I can usually tell you, if I think about it, what key something's in, but I don't use it for the individual notes like somebody with true perfect pitch, who just, I use relative pitch for all that stuff. But, I can kind of get the sense of something, and I can feel it in what key it's at. Red Hot Toned, getting a bit salt in the hair, Carl. Ever thought of using hair dye? Never. I am what I am. I'm not one of those plastic surgery, hair dye, whatever. I'm going to age just like everybody else will, and I'm not going to worry about it. All right, Marcy Respo. Carl, what's the very first guitar solo you ever learned and were proud of? Solo to Wonderful Tonight by Eric Clapton. Hellraiser asks, could you smile and laugh a bit more? Your smile is so heartwarming. Yeah, maybe. I'm usually focusing, so I'm focusing on it. I'm not trying to sell you guys my smile. I'm trying to teach you some music, and it takes focus. Alex Dean asks, how do you justify new guitar purchases to the significant other asking for a friend? I don't have to, because one, if I have to buy a guitar or a piece of musical gear, it's my job, so I get to do it. I don't have to ask. But luckily, I get a lot of stuff for free these days, so that's pretty cool. What is kind of weird is buying new golf gear. I'm really good at hiding that, though, because she doesn't know. She's just like, a golf club's a golf club. She doesn't know if it's new or been 10 years old. 54M, my 4M, do you ride a motorbike? No, they scare the hell out of me. I could never get on a motorcycle. Nicholas Brierton, what is the most gratifying moment you've had in your musicianship or guitar playing? It would be just musicianship-wise, it's gratifying to me to take a piece of music, like a piece of classical music, and just listen to it and sit down and write it out without an instrument. And that, when you do that and you get that deep into music and you develop your mind to be able to do that kind of thing, through training, it's all training, I just wasn't born to do it. That is what's the most gratifying for me, is that kind of intimacy with the music, which you don't get if you just listen to it through like a casual listening experience. Luke Alf, do I like the Les Paul? I'd like to have a nice Les Paul. So if you guys contact Gibson, get them to send me a Les Paul. I want a Les Paul now, especially for all the slash lessons that I just get yelled at when I use like something that's not a Les Paul. Cliff Brower says, I feel like you don't like Van Halen very much. I love Van Halen. The thing about Eddie, though, is his stuff is really hard to recreate. The way he plays, even just his riffs, they're kind of like these off the cuff, got these little Because rhythmic, soloing kind of, it's hard to recreate exactly like the album. So sometimes I might kind of shy away from it because I'm like, that's going to take a while. So it's more laziness, but no, he's one of my favorite players, definitely. John Underwood, can you redo the lessons on Hotel California? Nope, I can't. First of all, every pretty much major guitar teacher on YouTube has done Hotel California, and they've all been taken down. So, or blocked. So they're actually still sitting up there. They're just blocked by the Eagles, which are a really bad band about doing that. So if I redid it, they would just do it again. So they're there. It's just, and it'd be worthless for me to redo them because they'll just be blocked again. Sirabuka, what is the most effective way of learning a solo? Break it up into phrases, master those phrases, especially if there's a difficult section. Break that section up into individual technique exercises. Then after you have those phrases and that little difficult section down in your hands, put it all together. Paul Mute, tips for playing guitar live for the first time. Play something that's well beneath your ability level. So play something that's so easy to you that you're not really worried about the performance. You're just worried about, gear breaking down, but you're not worried about playing. Father Beer, what kind of goals do I have right now in my life? Like I said, my main goal is to become a scratch golfer and write my own music and get that out there for people. Adam Felix, how do you start learning songs by ear? When it comes to transcribing music, it's not just how good your ear is, it's how good your knowledge of the style is. And I kind of always say, like I've done a lot of Metallica songs, obviously you guys have seen this. So I kind of have a good idea just because I played a lot of their music before, even before I transcribed it. I might have, when I was a teenager, I might have just looked up tab books or watched them on video or something. I know enough about the style, so when I hear it, that's gonna help. That's gonna get you halfway there. Just knowing how they do it. I know, when I hear a Kirk Hammett do a solo, or whatever, I have a pretty good idea of how he's fingering it and stuff like that. Just because it's familiarity with style, like if you're doing rock and metal, you're gonna have a lot of power chord shapes and stuff like that. So it's the knowledge of the style is one thing, and then the ear, which I've talked about, developing your ear the correct way, will get you the other half of the way. Aiden, you're given the chance to listen to one song entirely through before you die. What's the song? I don't know if it'd be a song. Maybe it'd be Tchaikovsky's Symphony No. 6, though. Probably choose that first. Brandon, how long did it take you to master the skill of playing guitar? No, you're never gonna. I'm not a master. I still got so many things that I want to be able to do, different styles that I feel that I'm not good at all. So it's a lifelong process, and that's the fun thing about it. There's always something to do with it. Stephen Sharp says, you have mentioned that you used to practice 8 to 10 hours a day. What did you do for all that time? What motivated you to practice for that long? That was for a brief few years in my life, right when I graduated high school. I really dove into doing it. I practiced, I literally had sheets and charts lined up on my walls, like of the technique exercises, and like I named each exercise and then what my current metronome setting that I can play it at was. So I was really obsessed with it. So I did mostly technique. Didn't play a lot of music unless I was like transcribing like Bach violin. I just wanted to be a virtuoso. I wanted to have extreme technique. So that was what's fun to me. I feel like later as I got through my 20s, got more exposed to more music because I had to teach it for people, that I started liking, other things. But yeah, that time was really based more on, developing. I was doing a lot of ear training and stuff at that time too. I was studying musicianship with Dick Grove really seriously. But I wasn't writing a lot of music and I wasn't playing a lot of music. It was mostly studying and ear training and musicianship, theory and ear training, and practicing technique. So that was most of the day. Joe, he's a member of the channel. Hey, Carl, what is the easy-to-use software to lay down tracks or create songs with basic drums, bass, and then just add rhythm and lead guitars? There's a lot of free software, free DAWs, digital audio workstations, as you can do. So, but it also depends on your operating system, your computer. If you have a Mac, I would suggest going with Logic because it's pretty inexpensive and it's full, a couple $100 you have a full DAW that you can do like the most polished stuff. And then there's a billion lessons, courses that are very inexpensive or free to learn how to use the software that you literally, if you just spend a couple of days going through these little video tutorials, you'd know the software easy and you can start cranking out on it. So that's what you, software-based stuff, that's all you need. Charlie, do I like Sweetwater Incorporated? I do. I actually just mentioned about this in my little private Academy chat that I did this past weekend. Sweetwater is like the only company that, major company, or musical instrument thing, that I'll actually like order a guitar from or something like that directly, and not worry about them shipping something that I've never played before, because I know that they do good work with it, and their customer service is great. So I do that. Like I just bought Cubase when I had to buy Cubase through them, and you know, I'm not. Sometimes these stuff like getting the software authorized is a pain, and call my guy at Sweetwater who sold it to me, and he helps me within 2 minutes just get it all working. So I mean, just great customer service. So Sweetwater, yes, I love them. They do it the right way. Neil Taylor, why the name Carl? Just what I was named. I'm named after my great uncle, but I never called him Uncle Carl. We called him Uncle Stumpy because he was really short. Jonathan asked, how many pets do I have? I've got 3 dogs, 3 rescue dogs, and a cat that I also was a stray cat that I've had. She's almost 17 now. Mango, he asked, how do I know what settings I should have on my metronome? Should it be a quarter, eighth, or 16th notes? Thanks, love the channel. I think you shouldn't have your metronome do the divisions. Your metronome should just do the beat, and you do the divisions yourself. So I don't like the metronome settings where you can go like it accents, like you're learning triplets and it accents the 1, 2, 3, click, 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 or the 1, 2, 3, 4, bum, 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 bum. You know, you should be able to feel that division and not rely on the metronome to do it for you. So you should hear every click as just the actual beat itself, and I think that's the best way to practice, and don't rely on the metronome to do it. So it should be, the click is just on the 1, 2, 3, 4, all those divisions, triplets, eighth notes, 16ths, you do yourself. Buttery McBacktail. Do you ever find yourself getting discouraged at your rate of improvement? If that's your real name, I apologize for laughing at it. Do I ever get discouraged at the rate of improvement? Yeah, of course. Everybody, you know, but you got to think, and this is what I always tell, because I send out about 100 emails to my Academy members every day. It's, when you're learning a musical instrument, it's a lifelong thing. You're never going to feel like, you can maybe feel that you can play well or whatever after a while, but you're never going to be satisfied with where you're at. And it's healthy not to be able to. And the idea is to enjoy the process, enjoy the learning process, and trust that you are always getting better. It just might not be at the rate that you had in your mind, because especially these days, you're comparing yourself to, you know, tons of people on YouTube that are, you might play something better than you or whatever, and it can be a bit bummer, but you're going to be able to do some things better than you know, other people can as well. So you know, you focus on your strengths, but enjoy the process. Enjoy the fact that you're just making music and you're becoming the best player that you can be, and don't try to compare yourself to others. And I think it's a lot more healthy, and you'll become a lot better player too, because you won't get frustrated and stressed out about it. Drew asked, hey, he's an Academy member. Hey, Carl, do you know what artist tones you're going to be after Shine On Your Crazy Diamond? And is the artist tone for Pink Floyd ready yet? Drew, I'm sure you already know that the Shine On Your Crazy Diamond artist tone, the 4 tones of that song, David Gilmour, is in the Academy. He's talking about, Drew's a member of my GL365 Academy. I have a guitar tone section where I teach all about effects and stuff, but now we've gotten to the point to where we're just doing artist tones, because we've covered a whole signal chain up to that. So now I'm doing like a weekly artist tone. So that's what he's talking about. So yes, that's up, and I don't have any plan. I'm just taking requests, and we have a new artist tone go up in there at least once a week. Frank Paparo, hey Carl, I'm working on getting a lot of Jimmy Page's work, but he is a field player with his solos. What is the best ways to approach his style? When you figure out someone like Jimmy or Angus solos, what is your process? So that is true. I think people like, Jimmy Page are more feel players. So those players are, even though they're just using usually like basic blues and pentatonic scales, when he's kind of really going for it, it's kind of hard to recreate that exactly like. Not so much Angus Young. Angus Young has more like kind of succinct licks that he plays. So it's, even though his solos might not be easier or harder, they're easier to memorize because they're like specific licks. Jimmy Page sometimes just kind of goes off on his own little thing, and it's not, kind of like this systematic laid out lick. But Jimmy Page also has some very composed solos as well, like Stairway to Heaven, that doesn't have all that all over the place. So those are just, you have to be very, you have to know somebody's style a lot, but it's more about knowing the scale choices, and then you'll be able to emulate that a lot more. And don't get hung up on trying to always play those guys, those little parts of his solos that are impossible to recreate even for him. It's more the vibe instead of getting it note for note, and they're kind of accepting that and learning it that way. I Need Waffles Tabernacle. What was it like to help John Petrucci's guitar clinics back in the day, and any funny stories? I don't know if you guys don't know, I helped John Petrucci with a few guitar clinics back in the mid-90s when he was with Ibanez at the time. So the funny, I mean, there's some funny things happen. We had an amp, a tube blew up in the Mesa Boogie he was playing, so we had to go and get everything redone. Actually just got a spare amp in there. But one of the funniest things was that his wife at the time was pregnant with twins. So I guess their first kids, and it was but it was fraternal twins. It was like a boy and a girl. And I have an identical twin stuff too. So he was asking me more questions than I was asking. Even though I loved Dream Theater back then. I followed him all around, so I loved his playing. He was a big influence on me at that time, so it was really cool to be able to hang out with him. But he was like, so should I dress him alike? So he had more questions about like twins and what to do with like twins, because he was about to have some twins. So I thought that was kind of funny. Dex Sims, have you ever tried to play guitar with your non-dominant hand? I never bought the whole left-hand, right-hand guitar thing. I always say, no matter what you're playing, I haven't tried to play this other way, but I'm sure I could find if I trained. Because I don't think there is a dominant hand on the guitar. I mean, who says you're a right-handed guitarist, so you have to pick with your right hand, when you would think that maybe this should be the hand that needs to be the strongest. So to me, guitar is just like piano. There should be a dominant hand. So because of that, even if you're left-handed at other things like sports or whatever, or writing, learn the guitar right-handed, because it doesn't matter. They're both extremely awkward at the beginning. It's not one. You don't need more strength or coordination in one. You need them. They both need to be great. All right, so I think I got through them for the most part. I know I skipped. There's a lot of questions that are maybe too hard to answer, or I'm just trying to fly through it. It's got long enough as it was. But thank you, everybody, for just supporting the channel and even caring about what I think about these things. But I will keep it going, and please don't forget to check out my Guitar Academy at guitarlessons365.com. And in those things, it's a lot easier to get in touch with me and get personalized answers and stuff in the Academy. All right, I'll see you guys there. Bye-bye.